Fans were shocked by what Trisha Yearwood said at age 60, and it wasn't a good thing. There's a story behind her Grammys, cookbooks, and huge business that not many people thought she'd ever tell. She just told you very sad things about her family loss and her life with Garth Brooks that may change the way you always see her. Trisha Yearwood is famous for her powerful voice, her multi-platinum records, and her kitchen full of Southern comfort recipes. But behind the bright lights, there is a woman who quietly fell apart from loss. Trisha's 60th birthday should have been a time to celebrate, but instead it made her think of the loved ones who didn't get to see the big event. Fans were shocked not only by how open she was about the worst part of her life, but also by how much she had been through alone. Her folks weren't just there to help her, they were the base. When Trisha talked about them, she always did so with a respect that suggested a tie that was stronger than most people could ever understand. Vacations weren't times to get away from them, they were times to get away with them. A lot of kids wish they could run away from their parents, but Trisha and her sister ran toward them. Before they were family, they were best friends, and losing them was like losing the very idea of home. There were two waves of the blow. Trisha's father died right before the success of her books and cooking show. She was having a great time until she found herself in a kitchen where every recipe made her think of him. It looked like every meal had been tainted with sadness. It was only 3 years later that her mother came back. She brought with her not only maternal love but also the spirit of the traditions they had shared. It wasn't just loss, the culture was dying out. The hearty chatter and laughter in the room over biscuits and gravy stopped. Most fans saw the happy TV figure or the happy artist on stage. They didn't see the woman who cried over homemade recipe cards or felt terrible when she walked into a house that used to be the center of everything but was now empty. Trisha never wanted people to feel sorry for her, but she quietly let her grief shape her art. There were two goals behind every meal on her show and every word in her songs: to entertain and to respect. Fans began to notice that she was cooking with ghosts, even though she never said it out loud. How quickly the nothingness came made it all the more scary. There wasn't a big tour of memories to say goodbye, and there wasn't any time to get ready for it. Trisha was left alone. She had parents one day and none the next. The public saw well-groomed people with perfect makeup and conversations that were very nice. They didn't see how she couldn't get out of bed in the mornings or how one song on the radio could ruin her whole day. She turned to her sister Beth for help. They both felt the same pain because they had lost loved ones. Beth wasn't just Trisha's sister, she was the only person who knew how much pain she was in. Like sticks stuck together in a storm, they held on to each other. In an interview, Trisha once said, "You're my person." Her voice cracked. "It wasn't a tired story, I had to stay alive." They were the only ones left standing, and they had a history that was too valuable to let fade. What Trisha's fans didn't know was that she almost quit everything during this time of grief. She was no longer drawn to the stage. It seemed like the music business was too loud and demanding. She looked at her guitar some nights and didn't feel anything. The same woman who used to dream of stadiums packed to the brim now wanted peace, quiet, and most surprisingly, to say goodbye. The people around Trisha didn't know that she was about to quit her job. She won a Grammy, wrote a best-selling book, and was a well-known person. How could anyone believe she felt invisible in her own life? People thought she had everything she needed, but she was slowly falling apart behind the scenes. Garth Brooks, her husband, did something that pulled her back from the edge. He had been there the whole time. You might forget that they were just two young artists getting their start in Nashville before they became Trisha and Garth. But what Garth did for her during this time of loss had nothing to do with show business. It was pure love. He didn't try to make her feel better. She wasn't told to get over it or be strong. She was able to break down and, more importantly, breathe again because he gave her room. That was the only thing that saved her. Garth had always been bigger than life. He was a huge star in country music, went on arena tours, and had a magnetic personality. But when they were alone, he was something even better: calm. He helped her keep her feet on the ground and tell her that she could slow down the world if she needed to. Like always, Garth didn't just say he was there, he showed it. By setting up surprise interviews with her sister and giving her very special birthday gifts, he showed Trisha that the world still had beauty. The Mustang was one of those gifts. She thought she had lost the wild, free-spirited girl who chased her goals without fear. This reminds her of her school years. On her 50th birthday, Garth found a special anniversary version that was one of just under 2,000 that were made and gave it to her. It wasn't about nice things, it was about remembering. The point was to show her that the past didn't have to hurt. It might be able to live again even on four wheels. That being said, Trisha may have felt the most touched when she heard her sister's voice singing on a track of the final mix of her latest album. The studio wasn't where she was. She had been out of town. Garth flew her in secret to record the part and then left without telling anyone. Trisha broke down in tears when she heard it. It wasn't just a tune, it felt like home. These were not big showy things that were done. They were personal choices made by a man who knew his wife was moving and needed to feel like she was back on solid ground. Garth did more than just help her. He gave her back parts of herself that she had lost. Trisha slowly turned back into the woman she used to be, but now she was stronger. There are hard times in every relationship, even ones that are this strong. Trisha has said that being married to someone so attractive and loved by so many can make her feel like she's giving him to everyone. There were times when she wasn't sure if there was room for her light to shine along with his. Still, Garth never turned her down. He was happy to give her the stage. Even though Trisha's job changed and her grief stayed, she couldn't help but think of one question. Had she already lived the best years of her life, or was something even better still waiting in the wings? Most Trisha Yearwood fans thought it was easy for her to go from being a country star to being the star of a cooking show. On the other hand, they missed the point that Trisha's Southern Kitchen was never just a TV job. At its core, it was a lifesaver. She was trying very hard to stay close to something holy, her parents. Every recipe she showed and every bite she ate on TV brought back a memory. There were also ghosts from time to time. Trisha lost more than just her parents when they died. It was like a piece of her house was gone. The sound of her mother's laughs reverberating through the kitchen and the warmth of her dad's stories while dinner was cooking were suddenly gone. She felt like grief was everywhere in her house, like dust. It was impossible to hear anything. The only thing that made sense for her to do was to start cooking. And she used her sadness to make something good. Each dish brought back a memory. It wasn't just a recipe for her mom's potato salad, it was a tradition. It made her think of her mother for a moment. The smell, the feel, and even the way the bowl sat on the counter. On her show, she didn't show off her cooking skills. There was a quiet protest against forgetting, a war of words with time, and the people who watched her weren't even aware that they were being brought into a holy place. They did more than just watch her cook. They were seeing her get better. Trisha saw the irony, though. That which helped her deal with lost food was also something she had fought her whole life. She was haunted by her weight, her body image, and the stress of being a female celebrity in a world where everyone wants to be beautiful. Everyone liked her cookies, but she was afraid of how much each bite would cost her. The kitchen, which should be a safe place, could sometimes feel like a battleground. During interviews, Trisha has often made fun of her yo-yo dieting. But behind the jokes was a woman who was trying to figure out how to be herself on TV and her body. Not as a size 2, not as a goal, but as Trisha. Strong, tricky, true. That fight inside her was just as tough as any challenge she had faced in the music business. Still, she never gave up. Even with her flaws, wants, and stretch lines, she decided to be seen. She told everyone that she loved food and wanted to be happy with her body. She showed women that being in the middle was fine, to not understand everything, to love pie and someone else at the same time. People remember that kind of quiet confidence for a long time, longer than any beautiful picture could. It wasn't always easy, though. Every season of the show they had to deal with cameras, reviewers, and their own stress. But each dish she made was a quiet honor to her family. It was love, loss, and strength mixed together in batter and brushed with butter. For people who were also sad, lonely, or lost, it was more than just a cooking show. It gave me joy. But as Trisha's show became more popular and her reputation as America's Southern sweetheart grew, a question began to bubble to the surface. Was she ready to share the next recipe that had been cooking away in her heart, one that could change everything? She has always known how important a song is. Every word she sings seems to come from the heart, and every show is filled with something real and raw. But she almost broke down during one song. It wasn't because it was hard to sing, but because it hit too close to home. She never got to say goodbye to someone. So I Remember You was more than just another song on her record. It was a letter to the past sealed with tears. Trisha stopped moving when she saw the words for the first time. They talked about want, words they couldn't hear, and hands they couldn't hold. It hurt so much to think of her mother, of the empty seat at the dinner table, and of the voicemails she still couldn't get rid of. Everything came back to mind when I sang the song in the studio, the hospital room, the late night calls, and the quiet drive home. She cried. After that, she cried again. She thought for a moment about skipping it altogether. Trisha's music has always been more than just a job for her. It's been her journal, her confessional, and her therapy. She didn't pull away, so she leaned in. She also asked her sister to sing chorus on the song, which even shocked her. Garth Brooks flew in Trisha's sister as a treat for her birthday. Her sister was the only person who knew exactly how she felt. When Trisha heard her sister's voice on the recording, she broke down in tears. At that time, it wasn't about making a great song. It was about keeping things safe. It was about letting people know we're still here. This was more than just a song for Trisha. It was like coming back to life. Every sound and breath she took was her mother. She and her sister felt like they were little girls again when their voices bounced behind each other. They would sing in the kitchen while their parents danced to the radio. When I Remember You came out, it was one of the most important times in her career, not because it did well on the charts, but because it let her talk to her mother directly. Her fans didn't know how hard it was for her to do it live. She always saw someone in the front row wiping away tears, which made her think that sadness was a language that everyone could understand. Hers wasn't the only one. There were times when Trisha would cry behind the scenes after shows. There were times when she choked up and couldn't even finish the song. She kept playing it though, not because she had to, but because she respected it. Trisha's mother always told her to tell the truth, and this song was her truth. It was hard on my emotions, but it also helped me heal. It didn't make the pain go away, but singing about her mother gave it a reason to be there. It may have also made other people who were going through loss feel a little less alone. That not her singing was always Trisha's best quality. She could make people feel real things. However, just as she was getting back on her feet, stories spread in the music business that Trisha was planning to quit the whole thing. Was it really possible for her to leave the stage, or was she being pulled in a different way by something bigger? Something felt different as the curtain came down on another sold-out tour. Fans knew about it. Backstage, bandmates talked about it in whispers. Trisha Yearwood, who used to light up halls with her easy charm, seemed calmer and more reflective. Every extra song felt like a goodbye. Could it be that the voice that had led country music through decades of change was getting ready to shut up? There was some truth to the reports. Trisha began to use words like legacy and reflection in appearances. She talked about how time goes by too fast, how she prefers calm mornings to noisy ones, and how she listens more than she acts. She hadn't said she was quitting directly, but the way she talked about her job had changed in a way that made it sound like she was slowly ending a chapter instead of starting a new one. Close friends told her that she was becoming more and more protective of her time. She didn't feel as warm in the spotlight after losing both of her parents. She didn't want the cheers as much as she used to. She felt better when she cooked in her own kitchen, took care of her dogs, and spent time with Garth without any interruptions. She could picture a life without stage lights for the first time in decades. It's not easy to leave, though, when your identity is weaved into every song you sing. People didn't want her to leave, and Trisha wasn't sure she was ready either. It hurt her heart to hear her own songs on the radio. She still felt excited about acting, but it was quieter, like a candle burning in a bigger room. She wasn't sure if she should stop it or start it up again. Even so, the music business can be harsh. People see any sign of pulling back as a sign of weakness. People began to whisper she's lost her edge. She's more interested in cooking shows now, and her time has passed. It hurt. Trisha wasn't looking for praise anymore, though. To find value in her life, she was willing to do fewer talks and shows, and spend more time with Garth and her sister at home. Offers kept coming in behind the scenes. A stay in Las Vegas, a new reality show. It could even be a book deal. Most of them she turned down, though. In reality, she didn't want to be seen too much. What was holy to her were the songs, the memories, and the little moments that were more important to her now than any award she could win. Garth stood by her side,
always there for her. As they watched the sun go down from their porch, he told her, "You've already shown everything you need to. Now it's time to do what makes you happy." And maybe, just maybe, those words made her feel something. It might not have been about going, but about picking when and how to stay. But just as everyone got used to Trisha being silent, she dropped a bomb. Just one showing, one night, one place. A show that was so honest and shocking that it took everyone's breath away. How did she mean for that one show to really say something? The sun isn't shining as brightly on Trisha Yearwood now that she's 60, but maybe that's just the way she wants it. She's no longer after #1 songs or award shows. She's instead enjoying the important things in life, like a quiet coffee with Garth, a drive in her dream Mustang, and an old family recipe. Trisha sees a woman who has been through love, loss, and fame and come out better. The rest of the world may see her as a country music star. The past year of quiet wasn't her way of going away. It was her way of finding peace in the world that used to need her all the time. Talk is going around that she might quit soon, but she hasn't said anything to confirm or deny it. She's just living. Each time we hear a tune, we remember a moment. But Trisha's fans can't help but wonder, has she sung her last song on stage, or is there still one more surprise to come? You know what Trisha Yearwood has taught us? It's to be ready for the unexpected. This is Trisha Yearwood's story. It's not just about fame and sadness. It's about how we all deal with getting older, love and loss. At age 60, she's speaking out, not to make news but to get back the peace. There is one thing that is certain, her voice will never really go away, whether she quits the stage or surprised us with one last tour. What do you think? What does this mean? Is it the start of her last act or just a break before a powerful encore? Tell us in the comments, and if you're also interested in the stories behind country heroes that haven't been told, don't forget to like, follow, and watch our next video.